The introduction to the context of Ashoka's rule serves as a foundational pillar for understanding the complexity of his reign, particularly the less discussed darker side of his leadership. Ashoka, often hailed as one of India's greatest emperors, is traditionally remembered for his conversion to Buddhism and his propagation of non-violence and dharma. However, to truly grasp the essence of his rule, one must also consider the tumultuous journey that led to this transformation, highlighting the ruthless aspects of his early reign. Ashoka's rule, which began in the 3rd century BCE, was marked by both his ambitious expansion of the Mauryan Empire and the subsequent transformation that followed the Kalinga War. The significance of setting this context lies in understanding how power and its exercise can have multifaceted dimensions. Initially, Ashoka's reign was characterized by aggressive territorial expansion and consolidation of power, which included acts of violence and oppression. These actions were not mere aberrations, but rather integral to the maintenance of the vast Mauryan Empire. This dual nature of leadership, oscillating between ruthlessness and benevolence, is crucial to unraveling the secrets of his rule. A poignant example of Ashoka's darker side is the Kalinga War, which resulted in massive bloodshed and suffering. Over 100,000 soldiers and civilians reportedly perished. This war is not only a turning point in Ashoka's own life, but also serves as a grim reminder of the harsh realities of ancient warfare. Another example is his early administration, where he employed a network of spies and imposed strict surveillance, ensuring any dissent was swiftly quelled. These instances underscore the severity with which Ashoka managed his empire before his famed conversion. This duality not only influences perceptions of historical leadership, but also offers insights into the transformative potential within the human experience. Aligning with the broader theme of exploring Ashoka's darker side, the heading, "The Rise of Ashoka, From Prince to Emperor," refers to the transformative journey of Ashoka Maurya, a key figure in ancient Indian history. It traces his progression from the heir to the Mauryan throne to one of its most powerful emperors, whose reign significantly impacted the Indian subcontinent. This progression is essential to understanding the complexities of Ashoka's rule, especially in elucidating the darker sides of a monarch who was both revered and feared. Ashoka's rise is significant because it sets the stage for his eventual transformation into a ruler with universal ambitions. As the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya and son of Bindusara, Ashoka inherited a vast empire. His ascent involved a competitive struggle for power, reportedly marked by intense familial conflicts, including the alleged execution of his brothers. This ruthless quest for power underscores the gravity of his ambition and foreshadows the authoritarian measures he employed as emperor. One real-world instance illustrating Ashoka's rise is his loyalty to his military endeavors, especially the brutal Kalinga War. This conflict, leading to significant loss of life and suffering, exemplifies the aggressive and harsh tactics Ashoka was willing to employ to expand and consolidate his empire. Another example is his subsequent embrace of Buddhism post-Kalinga War, a strategic pivot that not only aimed to legitimize his rule, but also indicated an attempt to reconcile his brutal past with a more benevolent image. Opinions on Ashoka's rise are varied. Some historians argue that his early rule exemplifies the harsh realities of ancient imperial politics, where ruthless consolidation of power was often necessary. Others, however, criticize this interpretation, seeing Ashoka as a tyrant whose initial years were characterized by bloodshed and despotism. Controversies surrounding his rise include debates over the veracity of accounts, detailing his violent path to power. While some sources suggest Ashoka systematically eliminated rivals, others dispute the extent of these actions, viewing them as exaggerations meant to dramatize his transformation into the enlightened ruler of later years. This highlights the broader debate on reconciling the narratives of Ashoka's ruthlessness with his later Buddhist conversion and purported dedication to peace. The rise of Ashoka is intricately connected to his darker side, as it provides context to his pursuit of power and control, elements that defined his reign. His journey from prince to emperor is not merely a tale of personal ambition, but a reflection of the complex dynamics of power, governance, and morality in ancient empires, which resonate with themes of conquest, transformation, and redemption. The Kalinga War, fought in the 3rd century BCE, was a pivotal event in the reign of Emperor Ashoka of the Mauryan Empire. This war, which took place in what is now modern-day Odisha, India, was not only significant for its sheer brutality and the massive loss of life, but also as a turning point for Ashoka himself. Before this battle, Ashoka was known for his ruthless expansion and authoritarian rule. The Kalinga War marked a paradigm shift in his life, catalyzing his transformation from a tyrant to a proponent of peace and Buddhism. The impact of this war on Ashoka's psyche and policies underscores the topic of Ashoka's darker side, secrets of the ruthless emperor, shedding light on how catastrophic events can lead to profound personal and political change. The significance of the Kalinga War lies in its role as a catalyst for Ashoka's drastic transformation. Following the war, which claimed the lives of over 100,000 soldiers and civilians, Ashoka was reportedly filled with remorse over the destruction and suffering caused by his quest for power. This emotional upheaval pushed him towards embracing Buddhism and advocating for non-violence and compassion. His subsequent policies promoted welfare, religious tolerance, and the spread of Buddhist principles, marking a stark departure from his previous reign marked by aggression and conquest. One real-world example illustrating this point is Ashoka's edicts, inscribed on pillars and rocks throughout his empire, which reflect his commitment to moral governance and social welfare after the Kalinga War. Another example is Ashoka's emphasis on dharma, moral law, which demonstrated his dedication to ruling through ethical means rather than military force. Support for the view of the Kalinga War as a turning point comes from historians who argue that Ashoka's transformation highlights the potential for redemption and reform. However, some challenge this narrative, suggesting that Ashoka's post-war policies could have been strategic moves to stabilize his empire rather than genuine moral awakening. Critics also argue that the war's violence itself reflects Ashoka's darker side, casting doubt on the sincerity of his transformation. This pivotal event connects deeply to the broader narrative of Ashoka's reign. While it highlights his darker side as a ruthless emperor, it also sets the stage for his legacy as a promoter of peace and Buddhism, influencing not only his empire, but also Buddhist practices worldwide. The duality of Ashoka's character, underscored by the Kalinga War, offers a complex picture of leadership, power, and redemption, adding layers to our understanding of historical figures and the potential for personal change in the face of adversity. The heading Governance and Policies, a double-edged sword, delves into the dual nature of Ashoka's rule, emphasizing how his leadership was marked by both progressive reforms and ruthless policies. Ashoka, the Mauryan Emperor, is celebrated for his transformation from a fierce conqueror to a benevolent ruler after embracing Buddhism. However, his governance and policies reflect a complex interplay of compassion and control, serving as both a tool for societal welfare and a mechanism for maintaining power. This duality is significant as it highlights the paradoxical aspects of Ashoka's reign, providing a more nuanced understanding of his legacy beyond the traditional narrative of a peace-loving leader. One illustrative example of this duality is Ashoka's Dhamma policy. While it promoted moral and ethical conduct, religious tolerance, and welfare programs, it was also a tool for political consolidation. By advocating Dhamma, Ashoka aimed to unify his diverse empire under a common moral framework, which helped stabilize his rule but also served his interest in centralizing power. Another example is the implementation of his edicts, which were inscribed on pillars and rocks across his empire. These edicts professed kindness, non-violence, and care for all beings. Yet they also conveyed his authority and the expectation of obedience from his subjects, thereby reinforcing his control. Supporters of this perspective argue that Ashoka's policies were groundbreaking for their time, paving the way for ethical governance and promoting values that resonate even today. However, they also suggest that these policies were strategic moves to secure his empire, indicating a pragmatic approach to leadership rather than purely altruistic motives. Critics, on the other hand, point out the tensions inherent in his policies. They argue that while Ashoka's adoption of Buddhism and subsequent reforms appear enlightened, they might have been driven by the to repair the damage caused by his earlier conquests, such as the brutal Kalinga War. This raises questions about the sincerity of his transformation and whether his policies were more about image reformation than genuine repentance. These complexities in Ashoka's governance connect to the broader theme of his darker side by illustrating how his rule was not just about promoting peace, but also about exercising influence and control.